guys, welcome back to The Fishing Teacher, and appreciate you guys coming by the channel today. We're going to be talking about catching bass in dirty or muddy water today. At the time of filming this video, we're into the last part of May, and traditionally April, May, and June are pretty much the 3 months of the year that you get those frontal systems come in, or the big toad strangler thunderstorms that muddies the lake up. So I'm going to give you guys some good tips and advice on that. I wanted to do this video because you guys may have heard I won I won the solo series top 100 tournament this last weekend at Lake of the Ozarks. Muddy water conditions, we had water visibility about like that. So I got some good tips and advice I want to pass on to you guys in today's episode here. Also, guys, real quick reminder, you probably heard me talking about this. This is the rig that I wound up winning the tournament on. And the main thing I want to talk about today, guys, is this reel. This is that new Cast King ALTI bait cast reel I've been talking about. Unfreaking believable, guys. This halo magnetic braking system on it makes the thing virtually impossible to backlash. It's got the world's first true titanium spool on it. I'll put my Cast King reel link in the description of this video, and if you use the promo code Randy10, I've been given the wrong promo code last week. I said Randy B, but the promo code is Randy10. You get an additional discount. And also, guys, you can get them through that Cast King link, or you can get them through my Tackle Warehouse link in the description, as well as the bait I won the tournament on, which is the Megabass S-Crank here. So appreciate all that. And one other final thing, guys, anybody interested in booking a private on-the-water lesson with me, just go to my Facebook page, Intuitive Angling with Randy Blaukat, and shoot me a message for details. So appreciate that. Okay, one of the things about fishing dirty water is that a lot of it is just situational in terms of how specifically dirty the water is and the water temperature in correlation to it. Now, I consider dirty water, or dirty, muddy water, that borderline water clarity like that, pretty much anything under about 8 or 10 inches of visibility. You know, a foot of visibility like that, it's pretty decent clarity for bass fishing, but when you start getting like, you know, 2, 3, 4 inches of water, you're getting into muddy water situations. Now, the tournament that I won last weekend, you could, for example, you could have a black and blue jig, you could put it in the water, and it would disappear about that far into the water, muddy water. So you've got several different degrees of what I consider dirty water in correlation with the water temperature, and each one of these approaches sort of requires, or situations requires a different approach. I got 3 primary lures that I use in muddy water most all the time, pretty much regardless of what the water temperature is or how dirty the water is. One thing I will tell you guys about dirty water, it's not going to be very productive if your water temperatures are, you know, much under 60 degrees. I mean, dirty, muddy water is going to be definitely better if that water temperature is above 60 degrees. Probably going to have a hard time catching them if you're fishing water visibility of under 60 degrees, if the water clarity is under a foot or so. In those situations, though, the 2 primary lures that I do use in a little bit cooler water is a big full-size dark jig. This is my Blaukat Throwback jig. You can get that in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video also. Living rubber, guys. Living rubber is a key factor in dirty water because it puts out a glow. But some type of a black and blue or black and chartreuse, a dark, large profile jig is going to be a really good choice if you've got muddy water and water temperature below 60 degrees. And the other is a big bladed spinnerbait. Just anything with a big blade on it. This is that trickster spinnerbait, but anything that's got like a, you know, anything bigger than like a number 6, number 7, either willow leaf or Colorado, something that pushes a lot of water that you can fish slow. So these are my 2 primary baits for dirty water if it's under 60 degrees. Okay, now that is a situation I don't do much, but I do fish a lot of dirty water when the water temperature is over 60 degrees. And I really like fishing dirty water if the water temperature is over 70. If you have water temperatures in the 70s or 80s, bass can be caught pretty effectively in dirty water. And so I want to talk about, you know, the baits I use and the situations I'm looking for with that. Now, when you're talking about dirty water and the cover available, that just depends on where you're fishing at. Depends on the type of lake you're fishing. Depends on, you know, if it's a river system or if it's got current in it or if it's a tidewater system or just a man-made impoundment. But there are very few lakes. Here's the key thing to remember, guys, is there's very few lakes that have water visibility that is dirty or muddy all the time. Most of the time when you're dealing with a dirty, muddy water situation, it's a temporary situational condition that you have from a lot of water coming into the lake. So this is something that you're not going to have it all the time, most of the time. There are a few lakes out there that are dirty all the time, but not very many like that. Most lakes, even the off-colored water lakes, are going to consistently have about 1 to 3 foot of visibility, and then they're going to get dirtier, with that water comes in. So one of the things to remember is when you have dirty water, a lot of times you have an association with rising water too, to get that dirt in there. And what happens is a lot of times in the springtime of the year or early summer, you get a bunch of water coming in the water to the lake, and it muddies up the creeks and the river arms like that. And then what happens is they usually start pulling a lot of water because they don't want that water to get high. So the lake managers will start pulling a lot of water through the lake. And what that does is that pulls that dirty water all the way through the lake. And the first places that are going to clean up are the backs of the rivers and the creeks. And the main part of the lake, even down on the lower end of the lake, a lot of times is going to be muddy because all that dirty water is getting sucked down the lake. This creates a situation where the fish will move shallow. Not all of them, but a lot of them will. When you have water that is on the rise, or if you have moving water, because when you have dirty water coming into the lake, you got the lake coming up, and they can pull it hard enough to where it doesn't come up much at all, or it can even fall. But you're also, if that's the situation, if the lake is not coming up and you've got a lot of water coming in, you're going to have current. So the combination of the current and the dirty water and the rising water will put fish shallow. So whatever cover you have available in shallow water on your lake, that's what you want to fish. Probably one of my favorite type of cover to fish in muddy, dirty water is just rocky banks. I don't necessarily have to fish cover, like I don't have to fish a boat dock, or I don't have to fish a log or a lay down tree or a grass bed, because in dirty water, rock is a lot of time is the best cover. It's the dirty water itself offers cover, and bass can get shallow on rocky banks. They can still feed on shad and crawdads. So I like to look for rocky banks in muddy water. It can be bluff bank, it can be rock that big around, it could be rock that big around, it could be gravel. But that's one tip I'll give you guys, is try to concentrate on rock in that dirty water. Now, the 3 baits that I use, again, if I'm fishing around any type of cover in dirty water, especially if the water is hot, like in the 70s and 80s, the big full-size jig is going to be my choice. Usually 3/8 or half, 25-pound test line, pitching it and flipping it around, whatever covers in the water. Lily pads, laydowns, docks, whatever. So, but the big jig is going to work really good, especially on days that's a little bit brighter and where you don't have much wind. Now, if the water is dirty, like dirty, water visibility of under 6 inches, another good bait this time of year is, again, the big spinner bait. The same spinner bait that you're using in the springtime of the year, maybe downsized just a little bit, because a lot of times you're fishing really, really shallow. You're not fishing like the gradual banks with the spinner bait. So I'll downsize a little bit to maybe like a number 5 or number 6 blade, maybe a 1/2 ounce body on it, a little bit smaller profile, and I'll just slow roll the spinner bait around whatever cover, shallow grass, shallow pads, next to a dock, underneath a dock float, next to a lay down tree, just anything in shallow water. Dirty water, hot water is prime for a spinner bait. That's just, it's been producing for decades. That's my choice there. Some type of a bright too, probably like a white and chartreuse is my favorite. And then I like putting this Zoom Dead Ringer, the chartreuse pepper on. You can get that through my Tackle Warehouse link, guys. This Dead Ringer here is a great spinnerbait trailer, so I'll use that quite a bit. And finally, my favorite bait for fishing dirty water, if it's warm in the 70s and 80s, is a square bill crankbait. Megabass S-Crank, this is the bait I won that tournament on right here. A square bill crankbait in a larger size like this will push a lot of water. It creates a lot of vibration. It's subtle in that shallow water, but it really thumps a lot and moves a lot of water. So the 3 baits, you just have to, I've got all 3 of them tied on. I have the spinnerbait tied on, I'll have a jig, and I'll have the crankbait, and I'll just rotate them, because day in and day out, they may want the crankbait one day, they may want the spinnerbait, they may want the full-size jig. But those 3 lures, guys, if you concentrate on rocky areas with these 3 lures, you know, or whatever shallow cover that you have, you're going to catch some good fish, you know, when the water's warm like that. So anyway, guys, hope it helps you catch some good ones. We'll check in later.